Welcome to the Peer Effect Postbag. I'm James Johnson, joined by Freddie Birley. We asked for your questions, and Freddie and I are going to tackle them together. These aren't theoretical case studies, it's the stuff that's keeping you up at 2 a.m. Let's get answering. So, welcome to the Peer Effect Postbag. I'm James Johnson.
And I'm Freddie Birley.
So, Freddie, what have you been thinking about recently?
What have I been thinking about recently? Well, my main musing has been on the theme of presence. And how do we...
This is Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. My long list is growing by the day. How do we inhabit ourselves?
Yeah.
Like fully inhabit ourselves. And I think that feeling of aliveness, I'm like, how do I feel as alive or as attuned or as in the experience that I'm in? And I notice when I don't feel that, and it feels just a lot less colorful. Life feels a lot less vibrant. And so how do you inhabit your full presence? How do you tune into all of your senses, into perceptions, into what's said and not said? How do you fully inhabit your body? I've been finding that an interesting kind of experiment.
And so if you give an example of something where you might not have felt present and then managed to shift it.
Yeah. I think anxiety is a great example of not being present. It's when are you in your head worrying about the future, or when are you in your head worrying about the past, or where are you stretching to make someone perceive something, or that sense of being attached to an idea of what needs to happen in this moment as opposed to being attuned to what is going on in the moment. And I think about it as being very, very head-based. When we're not present, we're often really in our heads and in our thoughts and our imaginations, which can also be a really beautiful thing. But I think especially in our craft and in coaching, full presence and attunement with someone else is also a way of feeling more connected. It's a way of feeling, frankly, more perceptive of all the things that are going on. And often a coaching session is like a mini paradigm or playground for the real world. And so what's going on between the two of you is often what happens in your client's life in other contexts, maybe more unconsciously. And so bringing to the present what is going on is also, I find it really interesting. Yeah,
because I suppose really in an hour's coach session or an hour and a half, you are so trying to be so attuned and create that space and notice what's going on.
Yeah.
It's quite an unusual gift to give someone. So actually, if you are distracted by something else, or there's a narrative going on in your head, or you're distracted, that's... I see what you mean about this sense of trying to be in the moment versus out. Even just random example, even with my son, it's kind of, you can either be really in it, or maybe go, I'll check my emails or something.
Yeah.
And that is really taking you out, and actually you're not really doing either properly.
Yeah.
And if you can just put the phone... putting the phone aside generally for meetings, life is probably a good thing. We could eliminate phones, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But it has such an impact on the quality of time, the quality of interaction, the joy you both get from it. 'Cause I think you've said it before, one thing I really took from the conversation, it's about fun and joy as well. If you're present, you're probably going to be enjoying it more.
And what you just said about it's the quality of your experience, not the quantity. And I think often we live in a world that's more. And what I find actually really interesting is if it were less, what's essential that's left? And then how do you, with what's essential to you, how do you gift it your full presence so that you're completely immersed, you're more connected to it, you're more creative with it, there's more of a kind of relationship when you're present as opposed to single independent humans. Suddenly we become more interdependent and the world becomes more webbed and connected and interdependent. And I find that also just really interesting.
So you think it shifts sort of human relationships?
Yeah, completely. Because if you notice in your life where you're fully present with someone, there's a connection that is so much, it feels more peaceful and it feels more grounded, but equally it feels more rich. There's a quality to it. And that's how do we increase the quality of everything that we're doing? I find that question really interesting, where I used to think of how do I do more? How do I increase the quantity?
Yeah, because even when it comes, let's say, doing the podcast, I think doing it in person adds more richness to it. it's why we're doing podcast recordings in person, because actually you're to meet someone in person, but it's more of a time commitment. Like you're having to travel to studio.
Yeah.
You're having the thing, you're traveling back at the least. So you're probably like tripling the time you're doing it.
Yeah, true.
It increased the cost of doing it.
Yeah.
But actually in terms of the quality of the interaction, the quality of the product, the quality of the relationship that you build.
Yeah.
It probably is 3 times more effective. Like you could probably do 3 times as many podcasts if you're doing it, right? But does that mean it's 3 times better? Or you're probably getting a 10 times better experience by doing it in person. So it's... And that's the thing when you talk about time and presence, I think about something like with a young, something like trying to balance school drop-offs and pickups, which really shrinks time, and going from being a founder where you'd work sort of 60 hours at the most, so extremely. So when you're starting up, something, okay, I've probably got 30.
Yeah.
If.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you really maximize that? And you've really got to start thinking about what you're not doing as well.
Yeah, completely. And that starts to put boundaries on eliminating the things that are often either draining you or not that impactful. And that reduces the quality of your life as well. Yeah.
I find the thing that I've struggled slightly is I then shift into how do I make the most of those 30 hours, which moves me into an efficient state rather than an effective state sometimes. And therefore it's like, oh, well, I can squeeze more in if I do this. Like if I don't go to the gym, but I exercise at home, if I don't go and see anyone, I just do everything online. Yeah. Actually, you can fit more in. Yeah. But what's the cost of that in terms of effectiveness or joy or... Yeah. So I think it's quite like... It's a bit off presence, but that's where this kind of took me. Yeah, that's really interesting. And then it's dynamic. So what we want to invest our presence in it's not always the same. It evolves and changes. And I think as humans, we need novelty and we need growth and we need challenge. And so I think often when you're doing the same thing over and over again, then you become an executor as opposed to a creator. Yes. And it's that feeling of it gets a bit boring and life becomes a bit robotic and we forget that we're human beings. Like we're living, breathing, dynamic, unpredictable, wild creatures. And that's actually an amazing thing. And it's kind of, my mind goes in a tangent now, but I want to be in my being, not so much in the like doing and intensity. And actually, we'll jump into the question that Neil sent in, but I feel like that is actually quite the shift that founders go through. They go from being the executor to probably more of a creator. Like in that scaling, how do you then change your habits to allow yourself to become a creator? And it goes in cycles as well, because right at the beginning, I think most founders feel so alive and they're creating and there's this really small team and you're kind of in the thick of it in all that. Like there's a kind of intensity to this kind of wild, creative, chaotic time. And then sometimes it can start to feel that actually once the product, you've got product market fit, then actually you can sometimes feel a bit like an executor because there's just this, okay, how do we just execute on this process? And it can become, so bringing that kind of creativity into whether it's your relationships or your leadership or your management style or what you're reimagining or how you're communicating and often it's the creative time is the time that requires a lot of your intentional focus and carving out, but it's very important, but it's never urgent. And so that can be squished and you can just be in this execution of like back-to-back meetings and catch-ups and without having that deep, immersive quality creation time. Yeah, I feel like both inside and outside, as you become more senior, as you become older, your life does become more about execution and like that. Those fun opportunities had to be made, rather than really having the time to spontaneously exist, which is sad but probably true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, the question from Neil was: we're profitable, but VCs keep approaching us. Should I take their money or stay independent? This comes up a lot. What would be your sort of first take on this? Yeah. So it's a really interesting question. I've literally just come out of a coaching session where we were exploring this question in some ways. And I think the first piece is going back to first principles about what do you as founders want? So your company is a vehicle for your growth in the world. And
understanding like what is the purpose of your company, not just the tagline that you share with your customers, but the truth of what drives you, why you started this. And then venture money is also a vehicle for new possibilities and opportunities. But the first question is like, what do we want? If we're profitable already and this is working, what are our goals and ambitions that feel right, that feel true for us? And then if venture money helps you to accelerate towards what you want, then great. It can be an extraordinary vehicle for growth and expansion, for profile and reputability and connectivity to customers and networks and other founders, and like insightful, like finding the right venture partner and really insightful conversations or challenging conversations. And so there's lots of ways in which it can be an incredible vehicle for company growth if you want to go on that journey, because there are also cons. And so I think the first piece is, what do you want? Is that money going to be a vehicle for more of what you want, or actually is it not?
Well, I think sometimes founders, and like, you come in, you start moving into the world, and it's like, oh, there's the rock stars often are sort of the big VC back things, like the big growth story, the big exit.
Yeah.
And what you don't see is sort of the low percentage of people that get to that stage, and the sort of the maybe even the higher chance of failure, and that trying to like go faster. It's harder as a founder to sort of maintain that pace, particularly if it's your first time.
Yeah.
Like, there's additional stresses to go for that extra growth that maybe you naturally can't achieve. So it maybe pushes you at a level you're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And there's also, I think, one thing I found with founders is this idea of control.
Yeah.
Like, that comes up, like, do I want to give
up control?
Give up control.
Yeah.
And if that's a really strong driver for you as a motivating factor, life happiness and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe going for the big exit is not the path, and actually getting to build a company which might take a bit longer. Maybe it's more focused on profit. Maybe that can feel a bit sustainable. But what's interesting is like often you talk to VC founders and they go, "Oh, it'd be great if my company was like profitable and it was just a bit like I didn't have to like chase the next funding round and I could build it sustainably at the pace I wanted to go at." And then you'll talk to Bootstrap founders and they go, "Oh, it'd be so great if I could get like VC funding and like really fuel this and really go for it." It's kind of...
It's so true. I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side, isn't it? And then the idea of like the metaphor full circle is like it's greener where you water it. And so just I think that's really important going into this, seeing it as there are pros and cons. There's not a right path. But there will be a path that feels more aligned for you. And a lot of people just don't know what they want. So a lot of people don't know what drives them, and they haven't really sat with, why am I actually building this company? Like, it sounded cool, it was a good idea at the time. Or it could be like an uncovery where they discovered something in research, or they had a unique insight in a company they're working in. They were like, why is this problem not solved? I feel like I have to. I feel like it's my mission. I feel like, why is no one else already doing this? So there are so many different reasons why someone starts, but then there's also reasons why people continue to choose to build their company. And every day that they go in, it is a choice. Like they're still choosing it. So just being really clear about what those reasons are. And then if venture is a vehicle for your growth and expansion in ways that are important to you, and having conversations with other founders about what's the reality of working with these funds, what are the pros and cons, what do you actually feel? And that theme, giving up control, is a huge one, because that is true. And suddenly it's not just yours. In some cases it can feel more like you're an employee in a company. And so just being really, and there's obviously so many different permutations and partnerships and ways of working and different funds. But it's really important to bear in mind, because I think often, especially if it's the first time you're doing it, can feel really blind. It can feel like this is what the best founders do, and therefore I should do it. And it can be more of a timing piece too.
I totally agree with you. I think it starts with, what do you actually want? Yeah. And if I mean, let's say Neil's example, he's probably been doing it for like 3-4 years to have got to stage of profitable. It's a nice stage. Yeah. Actually, why he was clear when he started why he wanted to do it. That very well might have changed today. So I think taking the time to like step back and go, okay, what are my life goals? What are my business goals? Why am I doing this? Yeah. will make it clearer what the right answer is in this case.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. Well, Neil, thank you for that question. And this has been the Peer Effect Postbag. We will see you next week. And as always, if you've got any questions, send them to hello@peer-effect.com.